Welcome back into Tavern Takes. Uh, Coming to you guys a day late. Didn't want to really do one myself. Wanted to really talk college basketball. And honestly, in our friend group, outside of Wisconsin basketball, there's really only one person that knows what they're talking about in terms of college basketball. And that man is joining us today. And we welcome back Sawyer.
Thank you. Thank you for saying I know what I'm talking about.
Well, you really are the only one. I don't think there's much of an argument.
It's not tough
In
competition.
terms of college basketball in our friend group. We're going to run through the projected field. We're going to use Joey Lenardi right now on ESPN. And we are going to run through an entire bracket today. Kind of give a little college basketball preview for those of you that have been focused on football the last, 4 months. And you're welcome into college basketball, kind of. We'll talk about the teams and maybe a couple storylines that go along with each of these teams. And, we'll just kind of run from there. So with that being said, let's get started with the first four out. The last four in. Looks like it's San Diego State, BYU, Arkansas, Georgia. And then you have the 16 seed automatic qualifiers that will, I'd like to say they're going to go get their butt kicked by a 1 seed, but in light of the last couple of years, I guess you never really know.
It's not what we thought it was.
No, it definitely not. But we'll start with the two 16 seed games. I'm going to be honest, I don't have much to say about Southern or Omaha. I don't know if you do.
Can't say I got a ton of knowledge about either, but I do like Southern's logo and color scheme.
So we'll go with Southern. We'll go with Southern to move on. Southeast, Missouri State, and American. I'm just going to say American because it's American.
I like that too. American is a good brand name.
So then we'll move on to the first couple games where we actually have things to say. San Diego State versus Arkansas looks like it's the first one. Arkansas about a week and a half ago was dead. Like, I don't know that a week and a half ago they were on this next four out.
I don't even think they were on the
graphic.
Page.
No,
I don't think anybody was thinking about them. Like, it was a long shot for them to make the tournament.
And then they walked in, and then old John Calipari walked into Kentucky and won at Kentucky. And all of a sudden, they started ripping off wins against not top-level SEC competition, but the SEC's loaded from top to bottom. So basically, any SEC win you're getting outside of South Carolina, I think is at least quad 2. LSU might be the only other non-quad 1 win, depending whether that game's on the road or at home.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure Arkansas won.
Yeah.
The
entire
conference.
It's a Q1 win.
Yeah. And like I said, even I don't know. South Carolina, I think, still might be above 500, even though I think they're 0-14. They were playing Florida tonight. I know it was relatively close at half. It was actually only a 4-point game at half, but that's South Carolina has not won a game. I'm clarifying right now that Florida won that game by 19. Okay. So South Carolina might be the only quad 2 game in that conference. So Arkansas won some games against middle of the pack SEC teams and Kentucky. and they put themselves in this position. San Diego State, I don't know much about them. I don't think they have anyone from that Final Four team 2 years ago.
No, I don't think anybody's left.
But, and forgive me, I don't remember the coach's name. Do you?
Is Dutcher?
Dutcher, yep.
Brian Dutcher.
Brian Dutcher, yep.
Yeah.
Is he's a very good coach.
Yeah,
and
I mean, they're always solid. Like, this is a down year for them being on the bubble.
Yep.
They're beating Boise State by a point right now at the under 4.
In the first half?
Yeah.
Okay. And as you can see on this list, Boise State is in the next 4 out. So San Diego State getting that win. Is that at Boise? Do you know?
No, it's at San Diego State. So this is one they need.
Yeah, that's still a Q1 win, assuming they get it. But either way, I like Arkansas. I think Arkansas is going to start playing some better ball.
I mean, they're talented. They've always been talented.
Losing their star freshman point guard Boogie Flynn, Boogie Flynn, yeah, was a big deal. But they've seemed to they lost him before they went on this run, so they've clearly adjusted. Cal brought a lot of his guys over. Yeah, they got Big Z, that 7-foot dude from somewhere in Europe. Croatia?
Yeah, it's either Croatia or Serbia. One of the two.
I think it might be Serbia. They got Thuro. He's a transfer as well. John L. Davis, for those of you who are big college basketball people, he played for Florida Atlantic when they made that championship run. Or, I'm sorry, that Final Four run when they lost to San Diego State. John L. Davis is on that team. The really good freshman point guard, why can't I think of his name? Played for Kentucky last year.
DJ Wagner.
Yep, DJ Wagner. DJ Wagner's on that team. Cal's got a lot of talent. They underperformed to start the year. I like them in a first 4 matchup against San Diego State, I guess is what I'm getting at.
I would take them too. I just think a lot more talent than San Diego State has. Of course, I mean, you probably would have said that about Cal's team against Kentucky, against Oakland last year.
Yep.
But so you can never really trust a Cal team in the tournament, at least not anymore. But I think Arkansas is a much better team.
I agree. The only thing you can trust with the Cal coach team is that when the NBA draft rolls around, Cal's going to let you know that he got his players paid.
Couple more jerseys on the wall, right?
Yep. The next first 4 game is BYU and Georgia. Honestly, I don't know a whole heck of a lot about BYU other than they have what's his name coming in next year?
DeMonsta.
Yep.
AJ DeMonsta. Yeah, he's going to be
AJ DeMonsta.
Something like that.
Which is a hell of a pull for BYU. He's the number 1 player in that class. Got to imagine somehow they ponied up for some NIL for that, because I don't know why else you're going to BYU, but
maybe he's got a really strong belief in the Mormon religion.
I guess he could be Mormon.
The first thought I had was, this is a fake tweet. I don't know what I'm reading. Then the second thought was, oh, well, maybe he's Mormon.
Like the Luca tweet when Shams had to clarify that he wasn't hacked.
I am not hacked. This is real.
But anyway, he's not relevant this year. Georgia's got a lot of talent. I don't know the freshman's name. Forgive me on that. But they have enough talent, and Mike White's a pretty good coach. I like Georgia in that game, assuming they are in this position. I will mention that Wake Forest beat SMU, as you see in this first 4 out, and Georgia lost at home to Missouri. Missouri's very good, but Georgia just seems to not be able to pick up any of these good wins. They got a win against Kentucky at home to hang their
There are
hat
they got
on.
a St. John's on a neutral too.
Oh, they got okay. So they did get St. John's on a
They got St.
neutral,
John's on a neutral in the Bahamas.
and Wake Forest really only good win is you could say Michigan. And while Michigan isn't first in the Big Ten, that is not nearly as good of a win as Kentucky at home and St. John's on a neutral. So I think Georgia, even with a loss to Missouri, stays there. And I like him against BYU as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I just looked it up. It's Asa Newell. That's the guy you were thinking of.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
Georgia's got a lot of Marquette played him earlier in the year, so I just remember them being really long and difficult to score on. They just got a lot of athletes. I would assume they could overwhelm a team like BYU in that game.
BYU, yeah. 100% agree. All right, let's move on to the South region in Atlanta. I am actually going to Lexington. My wife wants to go on vacation over her spring break, and I want to go to the NCAA tournament. So I thought, what better place than Rupp Arena? Kind of see that. Thought it'd be kind of cool.
You
So
didn't
I'm
want to
going
take
to
her
the.
to Pfizer Forum?
Well, she wants to go to the Arc Experience. We won't get into all that in the Cincinnati Zoo. But either way, I will be in attendance for the Saturday games in Lexington. So that'll be kind of cool. But anyway, South region in Lexington, we got Auburn versus Southern. I'm pretty sure we both agree Auburn.
I'm gonna go Auburn, yeah.
Yeah, so while we got Auburn real quick, Auburn's kind of a really cool story. I'm not a huge Bruce Pearl guy. Even though he coached at UWM back in the day, he's done some shady stuff. However, I think he's done a hell of a job with this team because he's got Chennai Broom, Player of the Year candidate, along with Cooper Flagg. Honestly, it's between those two for Player of the Year. Chaz Baker Mazzara is good. Teron Pettiford's a really good freshman. And they got just a loaded team. But
They got a bunch of 25-year-olds. They got a bunch of grown men.
And they got a bunch of personalities on that team that decide they want to tweet at halftime and stir up some drama. Basically what I'm getting at is I think Bruce Pearl's done a really good job of navigating the personalities on that team.
Yeah, it kind of seems like he's the right coach for that team, right?
Yeah.
Like how many other guys can both make them focus on basketball and still kind of let them be them?
Yep.
No, like imagine Rick Barnes coaching that team.
No, not a chance. Not a chance at all. That team would probably have another 3 to 4 losses at least. And honestly, the only reason it's 3 to 4 losses is because that team is so damn talented.
They are.
That. But Auburn, yeah, I think we agree Auburn. Gonzaga, New Mexico is actually kind of an interesting matchup because Gonzaga started out the year really hot with that like 20-point win over Baylor. But they dropped some games in the that's not the WAC.
WCC,
why am I trying?
The West
The
Coast
WCC this year that they don't normally drop. They're not normally as good as this. Isn't your as the kids would say, this isn't your daddy's Gonzaga team. They're not nearly as good. They have talent, but yeah, it's you see that Gonzaga name and you think, oh, how are they an 8 seed? Like, oh, for sure they're gonna win that first round matchup. It's not your normal Gonzaga team. New Mexico, coached by Patino. Why can't I think of
Richard,
not Rick.
not Rick,
Pitino.
but Richard.
Richard's always got them playing pretty well. Got them making the tournament. Um, I still probably lean Gonzaga in that game. I trust Mark Few a little more than I trust Richard Pitino. I don't know if you got any arguments on that.
I really don't. I'd agree. Like you said, this Gonzaga team is it as talented as the past few years, or really the past decade? No, it's probably one of Mark Few's worst teams in the last 15 years. But that being said, all of his teams have been pretty damn good, and this is still a good basketball team who I think would beat New Mexico.
Moving on. For those of you that don't remember, Sawyer is a diehard Marquette fan.
Yeah, I'm going to take Marquette in this one. I know that's a
I
little
am as well. I am as well. I will say this. Notice the AQ next to UC San Diego. It's not often you see UC that AQ means an automatic qualifier, meaning like they don't need to win their conference tournament to get in as a 12 seed. That is a not fun matchup for Marquette. However,
Yeah,
I still think Marquette. I
I
don't
would
know about
agree. I mean,
handily, but 5-10. I think they win by in that game.
none of those games are fun, especially not anymore. Like those teams are good. The teams you end up playing, the 12, 11 seeds, they're good basketball teams. You're not if you have an off night, you're going home. That's how the NCAA tournament is, even more so now, I think. Shout out Steve Lavin. I actually really like that San Diego team. Always been a big Steve Lavin fan, but I'm not going to pick against Marquette.
No, I'm not either. As the Wisconsin fan who lost to James Madison last year in the same situation, I can definitely tell you, yeah, that 5-12 game is just those 5-12, 6-11 games, and even recently the 4-13s, they're
Yeah,
not fun. It's not
we
a.
we played John Morant in our last 5-12 game, and we got steamrolled.
I don't think you got that problem this year. You guys got way
No,
more talent.
we'll have the best player on the floor. I'm not worried about that.
Yep. Completely agree. Michigan State, who just walked into Illinois tonight and won,
An impressive win.
which a month ago would have been an eye-opening win. Illinois kind of regressed to the mean. They've had some injury issues, but Michigan State walked in there and won tonight and looked pretty impressive doing it. I do have them against High Point.
Yeah, I'll take Michigan State too. I think the Indiana loss is it's gonna end up being an anomaly. I think that Michigan State team's really good. I really like them. I think they're gonna be a lot better than a 4 seed. I think they're probably more likely to be like a 2 seed.
My
I think
issue
they'll
with
end up
Michigan,
winning the Big Ten.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. My issue with Michigan State is they can't shoot, dude. They are. I don't know how much Michigan
It's
State you
Akins.
followed. They can. They got. Yeah, Jaden Akins is the one guy on that team that I believe is above 35% shooting the three ball.
Yeah,
Like
it's
it
ugly.
that and that makes me nervous. And like not to get ahead of ourselves, but in the next game against a team like Marquette who will swallow you defensively, that makes me really nervous that you got one guy that can hit an open jump shot.
Except
Like
for the white
it's
guy that hit 4 tonight. I can't think of his name.
Jack. Okay, so
I don't know if that'll ever happen again.
Jackson Kohler is good, and that's cool and all, but that's one game.
Yeah,
Jackson Kohler hasn't been hitting 4 threes every game all year. It's
he
one
had
game.
8 in his career going into tonight and had
Yeah,
4 tonight.
exactly. Exactly. Michigan State shoots sub 35% from 3 on the year. And against, they're good enough defensively to beat High Point, but and we'll get to that when we advance in the bracket. But yeah, you can tell where we're going with that already.
Probably.
Moving to Illinois, Arkansas. I actually kind of like Arkansas.
I would too, based on what I've seen from Illinois lately and based on what I've seen from Arkansas lately. I figure if they play that game on a neutral court right now, is Illinois even favored?
I think Illinois is favored. I don't think they win. So. Like I just said, I think Illinois would be favored based off of. And this is where March is so weird because Illinois is probably favored based off what they did in November and December. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where you get into the whole betting thing. Illinois just dealt with some injury issues. One of their starting big guy got mono. He hasn't been himself since. I mean, maybe stop kissing co-eds. I don't know. Get through the season.
No girls till April.
So Illinois got Wisconsin at Wisconsin on Tuesday, which I think is a giant swing game for Illinois because if they can manage to win that game, which I firmly believe they can, as much as
they can.
Wisconsin looked great today, and Wisconsin's this whole new thing, and we'll get to them when we get to them in the bracket. But I think Illinois could really make a statement on Tuesday.
I think they need to
kind of swing their season
because they're going the wrong direction right now.
Yes, they need. It's weird to say that Illinois needs that game at Wisconsin, but they really need it. They really need it to turn their season back around right now.
I agree 100%.
But we're in agreement. We got Arkansas moving on. Kentucky is a 3 seed here. I don't think they're gonna be a top 4 seed by the time the tournament comes around. They have a lot of so the thing about Kentucky, they have like 7 top 15 wins, which is super impressive, and it's a super good resume. They played Texas tonight without their 3 starting point guards, without their 3 top point guards, all hurt. And if they can't get Kirk Kriisa, I believe I keep hearing he's out the year and then he's not out the year. Either way, I wouldn't trust him coming back. They have San Diego State, if you remember, and do you remember his name, Sawyer?
No, I don't.
Lamont Butler.
Yeah.
He hit the shot in the Final Four to put San Diego State in the championship game against UConn.
Atlantic.
Yeah. Yep. He's hurt, and that's a separated shoulder. It's not he's going to be dealing with that the rest of the year. And then they have a freshman point guard that's also dealing with injury as well. So I think Kentucky's going to end up on the 4-5 line, but for the sake of this exercise, I have them beating Jacksonville State.
Yeah, I think they'll beat Jacksonville State. But probably scary for Kentucky fans seeing a 3 next to their name, though.
Yeah, right now it's going to be different. I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be 5.
Maybe it's the blue.
I think it's going to be 5.
I think.
Moving on, Clemson, Nebraska. I really like Clemson, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree with you solely based on the fact that Nebraska is the only Power 5 team to never win a tournament game. So history tells me that there's no chance in hell Nebraska wins this game.
I don't disagree with you. That's a terrible matchup for Nebraska to begin with. I also, speaking of how we just said Kentucky won't be on the 3 line, I don't think Clemson will be on the 7 line. I think Clemson will actually move up as well. The ACC is
the ACC is so bad.
ACC is garbage, but that Duke win is going to carry a lot of water.
Yeah.
Because Duke's going to be a 1 seed unless Duke would really have to crap the bed.
They'd have to lose a couple.
Not get a 1 seed.
And I don't think they're going to lose any the rest of the year.
No, the ACC outside of Duke is oh, man.
Clemson and
I remember – do you remember the days when the ACC was like, oh, hell, ACC is so good. The ACC is the bee's knees.
When Pitino and North Carolina
Yep.
was so good every year. Duke.
Louisville was good. North Carolina, Duke. Florida
Syracuse
State.
would always end up being the best team, even
Yep.
though it sucked during the year.
Boeheim had Syracuse going. Leonard Hamilton had Florida State going. Larinaga had Miami going. And that conference is man. That conference might be worse than
I got a question for you. Have you watched an ACC game that doesn't feature Duke or North Carolina?
Yes.
Yeah,
And the only reason is because Chucky Hepburn transferred to Louisville. And I love Chucky.
I forgot about Louisville. Louisville's actually
pretty good. Yeah. I love Chucky, and I don't fault Chucky for leaving Wisconsin. I believe he got $750,000 to go to Louisville, and I'd leave for that too. Heartbeat. I don't fault Chuck, and he's having a hell of a year. He's having a really, really good year.
He's good basketball.
So I tune into Louisville games for the sole fact of watching Chucky. They also have, and we'll get to them, but they also have James Edwards Jr., who played for James Madison last year. Was one of their really good wings that killed Wisconsin. Houston, Central Connecticut. Houston
eats teams like this for breakfast. That's the one team I'm comfortable in the first round every year being like, Houston will kick the shit out of this team.
Yeah, because they're so good defensively.
Yeah, they're not going to lose a game like that.
All right, let's move over to the Midwest. We got Alabama versus Merrimack. Alabama did lose to Auburn tonight at home. There's no shame in losing to what I would consider the best team in the country.
Yeah.
Pretty handily. Alabama's going to beat Merrimack.
Yeah, I would have liked to see Alabama put up a little more of a fight today, but they're very good. They'll beat Merrimack.
Oregon, Utah State. So I want to say something here because I listen to the Ion College Basketball podcast a lot. It's Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander. They're CBS guys. Utah State could have me at head coach and still win like 28 games. It's insane. They've had like 3 different coaches in 4 years, and they just fucking win. No matter who's coaching and who's there. It's nuts.
It is.
That being said,
Oregon game in any of these years?
Yeah, I was gonna say that being said, Oregon.
I still think they lose in the first round every year, but I'll go Oregon too.
Oregon is struggling right now, but they have I call him Bill Walton Light. Biddle.
I like.
Have you watched? I was gonna say he's awesome. Have you watched him play at all? It's just I look at him and I see Bill Walton.
I can see it.
He looks like he just went to Woodstock and then came and played college basketball.
He's a good hang, I guarantee it.
Oh, hell yeah. But we'll go Oregon.
Yeah, I agree.
St. John's, George Mason. I will say, for you college basketball nuts, George Mason brings former Auburn guard Katie Johnson off their bench. Dude's a menace for them. That 5-12 game, I think, would be very interesting, but I like the Johnnies.
Yeah, George Mason. They got a couple other guys who are like down transfers. I think there's a Oklahoma guard on that team too. I can't think of his name, but Marquette played George Mason early in the year. George Mason's talented. They're a tough team to beat. That being said, I kind of think their strengths are the same as St. John's, and St. John's has better players at those positions.
Yeah, I agree.
St. John's would win.
Kansas, Arkansas State. I'm gonna get a little wild here, and you can disagree with me, and I would be okay with that. I'm gonna go Arkansas State here because Kansas is just a hell of a disappointment this year. I don't know much about Arkansas State, but
neither do I. I'll allow it though because Kansas just like the whole Bill Self thing. Like they were preseason number 1 this year. I'll be honest. I never thought they were that. Hunter Dickinson just gets too much love. I feel like
Ugh,
he doesn't impact
fuck
winning
that guy.
the way people think he does. He doesn't really play any defense.
No, he doesn't play a lick of
He really
defense.
doesn't.
And while we're here, I'm going to throw a ricochet shot. You paid AJ Storr $1 million to play like 8 minutes a game,
Yeah,
which
he's not
I
very good.
didn't expect. I
thought
He
he would
played
be one of the
so
best
well for
players in college
Wisconsin.
basketball this year.
Yeah, I thought he played so well for Wisconsin last year. I don't know what the hell happened. He took the bag and whatever. I honestly like glad he left because we got Tanji, but at the same time, like I don't know, like Kansas is just wild this year. They need KJ Adams and what's their point guard's name? I can picture him.
Yeah, that's been there forever.
Yeah,
Juwan
why
Harris.
can I not?
Juwan Harris.
Juwan Harris. They need those guys to leave. They just need to regroup, man.
Although Juwan Harris just brings nothing offensively, and he's a fine player, but I'm just kind of apathetic towards this iteration of Kansas, and it
Yeah,
kind of like is Bill Self getting towards the end? Like I feel like he cares less.
I feel like he cares less, but then he went out and told those boosters he needed all that money to get a better roster this year. I don't know that Bill Self cares less as much as he's like he gets these teams in the last 2 years, mainly just the last 2 years. But last year he realized he had a team that it just wasn't going to get any further than probably the second round. And he kind of just, like you said, stopped caring.
I feel like he mailed it in last year.
And I feel like he's mailing it in this year as well.
I kind of get the same feeling.
Which is why, like, I'm throwing an Arkansas State pick here. That's the only reason.
I think that's a good upset pick just for the reasons we just talked about.
Missouri Drake. Missouri's just really good, dude. Like, Missouri's one of those SEC teams that isn't going to get talked about, but is really good. And
yeah, they just kind of casually kicked the shit out of Georgia today in Georgia.
So Missouri there. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Drake. Lost their coach, lost their best player. Still really good.
Yep. Iowa State, Northern Colorado. We need to have an Iowa State conversation here real quick because Iowa State for about 33 minutes tonight got all they could handle from Cincinnati, who was a top 25 team to start the year, but has absolutely sucked since.
Yeah, they're not very good.
Iowa State's just, I thought they were like I thought they could get a 1 seed, and now I don't know that they're even a 3 seed. They're just not playing well. However, I have them winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll win this one. They have struggled the last month or so. I mean, they're just kind of that hard-nosed type of team. I feel like the middle of February or the beginning of February to the middle of February can be tough on those teams sometimes, especially when you're not in the Big 12, you're not really getting like it's not a night in, night out big game like it was last year, the year before that. So I think maybe Otzelberger's kind of adjusting to that, where he hasn't really, I mean, really since he's been at Iowa State, he hasn't had to worry about firing the guys up for a game like Cincinnati because every game they've been playing every night has been a big game. So I still think they're a good team. I think it has more to do with that, like something like that. I think Iowa State's still a good team.
Yep. I don't think they're not good. I just thought they were like 1 seed good, and I don't think they're that.
Yeah, I would agree.
Creighton, Oklahoma. I like Creighton.
I like Oklahoma. I think Creighton.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I don't like Creighton at all.
I'll give you Oklahoma on this one.
they're just Ashworth is just like he can't defend anybody. If they're not giving him flop calls, Creighton's not beating anybody because Ashworth can't be on the floor, and they can't move the ball when he's not on the floor. He plays almost 40 minutes a night, and I don't think he's that good.
I'll give you Oklahoma. Purdue, Cleveland State. Purdue.
I've actually watched Cleveland State enough to like them, and Purdue
can be had.
I'll take Purdue.
Yeah. Purdue can definitely be.
Basketball.
We'll put that as a. Let's keep an eye on that 215.
Yeah, I like Cleveland State to maybe beat somebody depending on their matchup once we get to March.
Okay. Let's head on down to the West where we got Florida, Norfolk State. Florida's a really cool story. They're 3 guards. They play all the top teams in the SEC really tough. They walked into Auburn last Saturday, and they didn't just beat the shit out of them. Florida's just one of those teams, man. I wouldn't want to play in March because guard play is what gets it done in March, and Florida's got 3 guards. Shout out Elijah Harris, also on that FAU team that made the Final Four, now plays for Florida. I would not want to play Florida.
No, Florida scares me. They're incredibly talented. They would dominate Norfolk State or whatever 16 seed or 15 seed they end up playing. They're going to dominate. Too fast, too athletic.
UConn, Ohio State. UConn lost hold on. We have to talk about the villain that is Dan Hurley in college basketball. This dude is public viewing whether he loses 3 games in Maui and says, "Oh, we're never doing a tournament like that again. Screw that." Or he's saying F you, Baldy, to a bald
nothing funnier than
Creighton fan after they win at Creighton. Or he's calling out the refs or calling out players. Dan Hurley is the closest thing to a reality TV show that college basketball has. And I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know how you feel because you're in the Big East with them. I think it's funny as hell.
I agree. I find Dan Hurley hilarious. I think he's a great coach. It probably helps that he is always very complimentary of Marquette, which makes me like him. But he's funny. Like being a bald guy and yelling, "I got 2 rings, Baldy," that's just a hilarious thing to do. Like I can't tell if he's completely unhinged or if he's the smartest person in the world. I honestly have no
idea. Or he's just trying to motivate his team or what he's doing. And then tell your ref, "Don't turn your back on me. I've won 2 national championships. I'm the best fucking coach of the sport." Like it's nuts, but the dude's got back-to-back national championships.
Right.
So,
I mean, what
do you say?
I think he wins.
Like, how can you dispute it?
He could be a guy who like very quickly fizzles out if things start to go wrong. Like he could all of a sudden not be at UConn 5 years from
now. That being said, they went and lost to a completely atrocious Seton Hall team tonight. I don't know if you saw that.
I was shocked to see that. I didn't watch any of the game, but I saw the score and I had to refresh it a couple times to make sure it wasn't a typo.
So that's not great. Ohio State is this team with talent, and I think Jake Diebler is a really good coach. I think he's the right coach for them. Bruce Thornton's really good point guard for them, veteran, been there. I just don't know that I trust Ohio State. So even watching UConn lose to Seton Hall tonight, I would still take UConn.
Yeah, UConn still got some injury issues. Diarra's not really healthy. Ball's not really healthy. I think as
And
those guys
McNeely just got back too.
yeah, McNeely just getting back. I think as they get more healthy, they'll be a better team. I think we'll probably see them play pretty well the rest of the year. I think could be a little bit of a wake-up call loss here today.
Well, I thought after they beat Creighton at Creighton that they were going to go on a run. I thought this was the UConn hey motherfuckers, we're back
I
and
think
we're ready to go.
today was the loss that tells me that this UConn team probably isn't going to three-peat, because I was thinking the same thing we were going into today. But seeing them lose that game today tells me they're not quite as badass as they were the last couple of years.
No, I completely agree. But I still take them in this game. So I got UConn.
State, yeah.
Memphis, Yale. I got Memphis. Memphis guards.
Tyrese
Hunter.
Shout out Racine.
100% believe in that Memphis team. At Wisconsin, Akron. I'll go on a little tangent here. I was a big get Greg Gard the hell out of town guy. And I'm going to have to eat that crow because he's done the last couple years completely changing the offense and adapting to new college basketball and not running that Bo Ryan shit anymore where we're scoring 40 points in a win. Wisconsin beat Purdue today. They scored 58 fucking points in the second half. And they went 20 for 22 from the field. And it was all in the paint. It wasn't like they were shooting lights out from three either. I am very happy with Gard. I'm very happy the direction the program's heading. I like where we are this year. We're a 4 seed on this bracket. The committee released the NCAA selection committee released the top 16 seeds at 11:30 this morning, and Wisconsin was a 3. So they would not be 4. And after going into Mackey and winning, I don't think they're a 2, but they're certainly not a 4. However,
3-line.
3-line. For this sake, I like Wisconsin over Akron.
I'll start by saying I would take Wisconsin over Akron. But a funny thing I thought while you were talking there is Wisconsin basketball has been so ugly for so long. You are already apologizing to Greg Gard. You don't even need him to win a tournament game. He can lose this game to Akron. You just don't have to watch ugly basketball anymore. So you're ready to apologize.
I am apologizing right now. If he lost to Akron or whoever it would be in the first round, I would not be happy. Let me say that.
Yeah, but
I'm apologizing right now.
4 points.
I don't think Wisconsin's losing in the first round this year. I don't see that happening. They're too good offensively. They got too many dudes that can hurt you offensively this year that I don't see that happening.
I would agree. They'd beat Akron.
UCLA, Georgia. I don't know. I'm gonna let you take the lead on that one because I don't.
I'm gonna go Georgia.
I kind of lean the same way.
I've been a UCLA hater all year. I think Ade Mara Gomez is good. Outside of that, I don't really love UCLA's roster. Their guards don't really impress me. No. And I think Georgia will have the best player on the floor. Austin Newell will be the best player. And I think they're more athletic, and I think Georgia would win that game.
I agree. Texas Tech, Utah Valley. I got Texas Tech. I don't have much to say. Texas Tech has been a surprise this year, but they've been really good. JT Toppin's a dude. And the Grant McCaskill is a really good coach.
Yeah. Texas Tech, they're really well coached. I think they'd beat a team like Utah Valley.
St. Mary's, Vanderbilt. I like Vanderbilt.
I also like Vanderbilt. I like that Vanderbilt team.
I do too. First-year coach, I think Vanderbilt's on the up and up. Texas A&M, Bryant. Texas A&M is the SEC team that is really fucking good, that nobody talks about.
Yeah,
They
which is
are
weird because
the quietest
hey, look
two
at me,
seed.
Buck Williams too.
Yeah, they're the quietest 2 seed I think I've ever seen in my life.
That being said, I don't know much about him, to be honest.
Wade Taylor. They got I believe
Wait
Wade
there.
Taylor is a 5th-year senior. He's their best player, but they just got. I don't know names. I've watched them play enough. They just they're good, and they play every top SEC team close.
Yeah.
There's a reason they're on that 2 line.
Yeah, they're a good team. They beat Bryant. I'm comfortable saying that.
Yep. Duke American, Duke by 30. I
Yeah,
hate.
Con Kneppel,
Yep.
Wisconsin Lutheran. I'm just gonna name every Wisconsin player. I forgot Milan when we were talking about Iowa State, but
Con's a dog. Cooper Flag, obviously. Malawatch. They got 3 freshmen that are really good, and then you couple that with Mason Gillis, a transfer from Purdue, who's an older vet, and Tyrese Proctor, who's been there a couple of years.
he's been playing
And
better lately.
they just got talent everywhere.
They're really good.
Yep. Mississippi State Baylor is actually quite interesting. Is Edgecombe out the year for Baylor?
Think so. I think I saw that he will come back. Now that I'm thinking about it,
I'm looking.
I know something just came out about him like this past week.
I'm not seeing anything in terms of him being out the year.
Yeah, I'm not.
I would assume he probably comes back. Mississippi State has also shown that they can't beat any of the top half of the SEC.
Yeah, I think that's kind of who Mississippi State's been for a few years now, right? Like they're good.
Yep.
They're going to beat bad teams. They're not really going to beat anybody good though.
Roderick is his name. Roderick Wright, I believe. Roderick Wright Jr.
For Mississippi State.
No, Robert Wright III for Baylor. He's a freshman guard. He really has kind of taken over the mantle for VJ Edgecombe. They got Norchad O'Meara. He was on that Miami Final Four team a couple of years ago. Baylor's got talent. I like Baylor over Mississippi State.
I like Baylor as well.
Ole Miss McNeese is interesting. I kind of like McNeese.
I kind of like McNeese too.
We'll go McNeese there. Ole Miss is a good SEC team.
Ole Miss, they got a choking problem though.
Yeah, and I believe they lost at home tonight to Mississippi State by a lot. Like it wasn't even close by the end of that game. Michigan Lipscomb. I like Michigan. Michigan starts Michigan Michigan starts 2 7-footers. That's a tough matchup for a non-power 5 team.
Just try to match up with the size that they got. Yeah.
Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf.
And Dusty May, he's got those guys playing.
He's got them playing very well. They're in position to win the Big Ten.
Unfortunately, their rival's going to steal it from them, but
so I could see State. Maryland, Texas is actually a really interesting game. Maryland's an under the radar Big Ten team. I like Derek Queen is really good. I like Maryland there.
Who's the other big guy from Maryland? He's good too.
He's from Wisconsin. Why can't I think of his name? Hold on. Oh, it's gonna take Julian Reese.
Yeah, Julian Reese is a stud. Gillespie's really good too. I really like Maryland's whole starting five.
I actually like Maryland a lot too.
The only problem with Maryland is they have no bench. They have no bench at all.
No, they do not.
But they have 5 really good players.
Arizona, UNC Greensboro. I like Arizona. Arizona, after a very tough start to the season, even though they lost to Houston today at home by 4, they turned a page. They'll beat UNC Greensboro.
I think they'll beat UNC Greensboro too. The only thing does Caleb Love go 0 for 11, and also
even if he does, I think that team's got too much. I think that team's got too much talent to.
I think so too. I like to think so at least.
Lose to UNC Greensboro. Louisville, West Virginia is interesting. I lean Louisville. I think Louisville's been good, really good this year. I lean Chuck. I think Chucky Hepburn is probably the best player on the floor, depending on the health of.
You don't think Tucker DeVries?
DeVries. Depending on the health, that dude is healthy, then not healthy, then healthy, then not healthy.
Yeah. Two really good, two really well coached teams there.
Yep.
It would be
I
a
lean
fun
Louisville.
game. I would enjoy watching that game. I lean Louisville as well.
Tennessee, Townsend, Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee. Tennessee.
I don't got much to say about that.
They'll beat them 60-45.
Yes, they will. All right, back up to the Midwest. We got Auburn, Gonzaga. I don't got much to say. It's Auburn.
Yeah, it's Auburn. Gonzaga would I think they could make it interesting for the first 10 minutes of the first half.
Yep.
But
I think Auburn wins that game 15+.
I would agree. Just way too much.
Marquette, Michigan State. I actually like Marquette, as we were kind of alluding to this before. Michigan State cannot shoot the 3 ball at all. Marquette is a good defensive team. They will run you off the 3-point line, whether you can shoot it or not, and they're going to force you inside. They're going to get deflections. They're just I think Marquette's way too much for Michigan State. I would actually like Marquette pretty handily in that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take Marquette. Obviously, seeing Michigan State, I get a little PTSD from 2 years ago. But I just think we'd have the best player. Cam Jones would be the best player on the floor by a decently wide margin. Akins is good.
Yep.
Cam Jones.
I agree.
The unsettling thing about playing Michigan State is they're a little bigger. They get some offensive rebounds. We've struggled to keep teams off the glass lately. That would be really the only thing holding us back. Otherwise, I think our guard plays better. I think we're better on the wings. We hypothetically should win that game relatively easily.
I think you do win that game relatively easily. We have Arkansas, Kentucky in a rematch.
That would be fun. That'd be so much fun.
Here's the mess up thing. I would too, because I just don't know Kentucky's health. I would go Arkansas.
I think Arkansas is. I mean, if Kentucky's fully healthy, maybe not, but right now at least I think Arkansas is deeper. I think they're just better. I think they have more talent. Probably a waste coach, but
Clemson, Houston. I got Houston.
I do think Clemson would give them a game.
I do too.
But I think Houston would win a close one there. They're just too good. At the end of a game, they're going to get the stops they need to win.
Yep. Alabama, Oregon. I think it's Alabama. Although Oregon already beat Alabama this year. But I think in a rematch, Alabama actually pretty handily.
Yeah, rematch. I think Alabama wins. I think Nate Oates has kind of he's into a little bit of a tournament flow, making the Final Four last year. I don't think he would drop a second-round game to Oregon.
Nope. St. John's, Arkansas State. I got St. John's.
Yeah, I think St. John's would overwhelm them athletically. The guard plays good. I'd take St. John's.
Missouri, Iowa State. I got Missouri.
I think I would lean Iowa State. I'll give you Missouri though. Missouri's really talented. Iowa State, if they go into one of those scoring droughts, they could easily drop that game.
We got Oklahoma, Purdue. I got Purdue.
I'm going Purdue too. Braden Smith, best player on the floor. Purdue's longer too. Yeah, Purdue.
All right. Florida, UConn. I do think that game's interesting.
Be a really fun game.
But I got Florida.
Would
I think
you?
Florida's too much in the end. I think
You don't think Dan Hurley could come in there, maybe intimidate Mike White a little bit?
Mike White coaches Georgia.
Or not Mike White. Yeah.
Golden.
Mike White coached Florida at one point.
He did. You are correct.
But I mean, ultimately, Florida's definitely more talented. They definitely have better guard play.
Here's my issue with UConn. Here's my issue with picking UConn. Florida tends to struggle with teams who can defend. UConn cannot defend. That is UConn's biggest. Yeah. And that is the outlier. UConn cannot defend this year. UConn has a good offensive team, cannot defend.
Yeah,
and that's why I lean Florida. This one's gonna surprise you, but Memphis, Wisconsin, I actually kind of like Memphis.
Tyrese Hunter won't lose to Wisconsin in the tournament. He's
already. I like Memphis because they have good guards.
My reasoning was I was just gonna say that there's no way Tyrese Hunter loses to Wisconsin.
I'll give you Memphis.
Okay.
Georgia, Texas Tech. Texas Tech. I think Georgia's little run ends at Texas Tech.
Yeah, Texas Tech's just a better team. Georgia's fun. There's the chance Austin Newell gets super hot and maybe can carry him into that second weekend. But
it's not a like a foregone conclusion game.
Right. It wouldn't be insane, but I'd go Texas Tech as well.
Vanderbilt, A&M. As much as I like Vanderbilt, A&M.
I'm curious how. I mean, obviously they've played, but what have those games been like?
I don't know that they've played, to be honest with you.
They haven't played yet.
I'm looking.
I'm looking too. Yeah, I don't think they have.
So they play. Yep.
So they'll only
not
play
this Wednesday, but next Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to have the ability to see that game before I make this pick. Unfortunately, I do not, so I'll go with Texas A&M.
Duke, Baylor, Duke.
Yeah, I think Baylor can make it fun if Edgecombe's healthy, but
if he's healthy,
but Duke is still better.
McNeese, Michigan. I got Michigan.
I'll go Michigan too.
Again, I just think those 7-footers for a non-Power 5 team is going to be an issue.
It's tough. It's so tough to guard those guys, especially they play so well together too.
Yes, they do.
And
yeah, I could hear you out on McNeese, but I'm pretty confident in Michigan in that one.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Maryland, Arizona. I like Maryland.
I would go Maryland there too. I think just that starting five, man, it's good. Having those two bigs, really tough to play with. I think Caleb Love isn't a good enough defender to guard either guard. So it's Arizona's making a decision. Are they not playing Caleb Love? And if they're not playing Caleb Love, how are they getting their creation offensively? And I just think Maryland's a better team.
Louisville, Tennessee in a rematch from earlier this year where Tennessee walked into Louisville and shit pumped them. I don't think they shit pumped them again, however, Tennessee.
I think I would like Louisville in that one. I think Louisville's that well coached that they can come back around, get that win. Tennessee is they're kind of back to not last year's Tennessee. In
Yeah,
the sense
they're
that they don't really
yep.
score points.
Yeah, they're in that. They're back to that old Rick Barnes.
Where it's and those teams
If
generally haven't fared well.
if a team gets hot, they're done. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll give you Louisville.
Okay.
We'll go Louisville for some to switch it up a little bit. All right, back up here we got Auburn Marquette. This is where Marquette's season ends. I'm sorry, Auburn's just way too good.
If we're in the 4-5 range, I want to be with any team that's not Auburn.
Yep, I would
feel
agree.
comfortable against Alabama. I wouldn't love Duke, but I think we'd have a chance. We're getting killed by Auburn. We're giving up 50 offensive rebounds.
I think it could be decently close if Cam Jones goes off.
Maybe if Cam
you would need like a 35-40.
We need like the Dwayne Wade
Cam
triple-double
Jones.
game out of him to win. Yeah.
But
I'll go Auburn.
Yep, Auburn. We got Arkansas. I believe it's Arkansas, Houston. This is where Arkansas's little Cinderella run ends. I like Houston.
Yep, fun run for Cal. Gets the boosters behind him there in Arkansas, but ultimately loses to a better, more disciplined team in Houston, I think.
We got Alabama, St. John's. I actually think with how good St. John's plays defensively, it's a fun game. But I think in the end, Alabama's got too much offense and St. John's struggles too much offensively for that game. I like Alabama.
I think I would lean St. John. Well, no, I would go Alabama too. It would be a super fun game. I hope it happens. I hope those two temes meet in the tournament.
I agree. It's not a like, I feel really confident about Alabama in that game. St. John's has shown enough to me that they can go dry offensively and not shoot well enough. And Alabama showed me enough offensively where they can go off. And it's the only reason I have a slight lean to Alabama.
I think the hope you're holding out yet, if you're a St. John's fan, is we haven't seen like really good Kadari Richmond yet. If all of a sudden that shows up in March, that team hits another level.
I agree.
I'll go Alabama too.
Missouri, Purdue. I got Missouri.
I'll ride Missouri with you. I think they're more.
This is where my little upset special right now.
I think Missouri's really good. I think they're poised to make a run. I think they probably end up higher than a 6 seed and aren't in this position this way, but I think they're probably an Elite 8 team.
That's a favorable draw for them if they were to get that draw. Let's put that way. We got Florida, Memphis. Again, really fun game. A lot of guard talent. I got Florida.
Yeah, it would be an awesome game, but this is kind of going back to what I said earlier, where they kind of have the same strengths, but Florida is better at those strengths. Better players, more talented players. Like you said, really fun game, but Florida.
Texas Tech A&M, I think, might be the toughest one I would have to think about so far, because I'm actually going to defer to you on this one because I really don't have a strong lean here.
I don't either, and I don't know either team super well. I've watched more Texas Tech than I've watched Texas A&M. I think I will go Texas A&M here.
Yeah, I was going to say,
for coming through the battle test at SEC, I think they're more ready for this game.
I was going to say, gun to my head, Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Duke, Michigan.
Duke.
I think that would be fun, but it's Duke.
It would be interesting with, you get Cooper Flagg and Malawachi or whatever the hell his name is out there with the two big guys from Michigan. A lot of fun size and athleticism on the floor. I think Con Kneppel, X factor in that game.
I agree. Maryland, Louisville. Again, I'm deferring to you on this because you had the Louisville upset special. I had the Maryland.
This is
I would
game.
lean Maryland.
I would also lean Maryland, but this is a Sweet 16 game. Yeah, I think Maryland would get them coming off the rest if they're able to get through the first weekend. I think they're a really tough team to play in the Sweet 16. A much easier team to play in the Elite Eight because of that limited depth. But those five guys are good, and they got a lot of good size.
All right. Back up here to Auburn, Houston in a rematch of I believe it was the first weekend of the year. And
Yeah.
it was a really good game. It was after the whole plane incident for Auburn, where two of Auburn's players got on a fight on a plane and they had to turn around and ground it.
Turning the plane around.
And they still ended up coming out and winning. I still go Auburn. I just think Auburn's.
I think Auburn's got too much firepower in that game. Obviously, it would be a really good team, two really good teams. But yeah, it's Auburn. They're just better.
And then, man, this is another one. Alabama and Missouri, I think, would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, fun game.
I think I trust Nate Oates, so I would lean Bama.
I'd go Bama as well. Missouri is fun, but Nate Oates has been there. I think he's ready for back-to-back Final Fours.
All right, now we got Florida A&M. This is where I'm probably going to differ with you, and we might have to have a little discussion.
I think I like Florida here.
I like A&M.
You like A&M? Buzz Williams, how many Final Fours has he been to?
I don't think 0. Buzz has been to any. Yeah, but how many has Golden been to? 0.
Yeah, also 0, I guess.
Well, the only reason I'm kind of lean A&M here too is because otherwise we got 4-1 seeds in the final. Because Duke is
all chalk.
Because Duke is beating Maryland.
You're not taking Maryland 5 strong in the Elite Eight again.
No.
All right, we'll go Texas A&M just so we got a 2 seed in there then.
Okay, all right, and we go Duke. So we go Auburn, A&M. I got Auburn.
Janai Broom, Pettiford, the rest of the 25-year-olds.
Yep.
Those guys should get a job, but unfortunately, they're still playing college basketball. So Auburn.
Duke. Oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank?
Alabama.
Duke, Alabama. That game would feed families. I don't know. I'll defer to you. Since you gave me Texas A&M.
Well, we got Nate Oates, Watertown versus Con Knappel, Wisconsin Lutheran. So I can't even go Wisconsin bias here, but I'm gonna go Alabama. It would be John Shire's first Final Four. It would be 3 freshmen that start. Obviously, all the Cooper Flag hoopla and all that. There's way more pressure on Duke in that game, even though Alabama's like the more veteran and better team. For some reason, Duke will still have the pressure in that game, and for that reason, I go Alabama.
Auburn, Alabama. I go Auburn.
Auburn. Too many 25-year-olds. Yep. Those guys shouldn't be allowed to play college basketball, but they are, and that's why Auburn's going to win a national championship.
Real quick before we get out of here, Cooper Flag or Janai Broom for Player of the Year? Who you got?
Cooper Flag's a way better complete player. I don't think it's close.
All right, Cooper Flag. Let's run through the Power 5. Duke's going to win the ACC. Who you got winning the Big 12? Houston with a big win today. If Arizona would have won that game, they'd have been tied in the loss column.
I gotta see where are we at right here.
I think it's Houston. I don't really need to look.
2 games behind for Arizona and Texas Tech. Iowa State's already 3 back. It's gonna be Houston.
Big East. I don't know. Tomorrow's big. St. John's Creighton tomorrow.
Tomorrow's huge. I think St. John's wins tomorrow, and I think they end up as the sole Big East champions. I think Marquette will be a game behind them when it's all said and done.
I agree with that. Big Ten. This is where we'll differ.
I've
You
already
got
made my
Michigan.
opinion known. Big
I
bad
think it's.
party's coming.
I think it's Michigan.
You think Michigan holds out?
Michigan's. I think Michigan. Well, Michigan's got a game in hand,
No,
and
Wisconsin's only a game back. Don't believe.
no, they're two.
They just
They're
won
two.
a game
They're
and a half.
two.
Game and a half.
Yeah, but they already lost to Michigan, so in the end, I think they could get a share.
I think it's very unlikely that there's a sole. If there's a sole winner, it probably is Michigan. But I think it's likely some combination of Michigan State, Purdue, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Michigan.
I don't think Wisconsin's in it. I think Wisconsin drops. So Wisconsin's got Illinois at home, and then they got Oregon and Washington at home. And I think they drop one of Illinois, Oregon. And I think that is kind of the final dagger in our Big Ten championship.
Yeah, you probably got to run the table to get a share.
Yeah, and we got to go, don't forget, we got to go to Michigan State yet and to Minnesota. And Minnesota's been playing a lot better.
Yeah,
it would not be an acceptable loss by any stretch of the imagination. That's not what I'm getting at. But it's a game we could very well lose is what I'm getting at. So I think it's Michigan because I think Michigan wins it outright.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's do, before we get out of here, let's do Power 5 tournament champs real quick. A little preview before we do the actual preview of championship week. Who you got winning the ACC?
I think Clemson.
I actually agree.
I'm gonna go Clemson just so I don't have to pick Duke.
I was gonna agree. I was gonna pick Clemson too. Big 12.
Big 12. I'm gonna go Baylor.
Ooh, that'd be a fun. I'll go Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. Okay.
I don't think Houston gives. I think Houston's gonna have a 1 or 2 seed locked up going into that tournament. More than likely a 2. And I think Kelvin Sampson's shown enough that he doesn't really give a flying fuck about the conference championship.
I don't think so either.
So I'll go Texas Tech. Big East.
Big East, I like UConn.
I'm actually gonna go Marquette.
I think
as much as that kills me inside, I'm gonna go Marquette.
You forget only one team from the Midwest has ever won the Big East championship, and that was Marquette 2 years ago. It's tough for those teams out there because all the East Coast teams are playing home games, all the Midwest teams are playing road games.
Yeah, but the difference is like, other than St. John's, in my opinion, and this depends on whether UConn gets going or not. But to me, Creighton and Marquette would be the two that appeal to me to win that tournament championship. And those are two Midwest teams.
It'll be interesting to see how the bracket shakes up. If Creighton Marquette's 2-3, I could see us beating Creighton either way. And then, we're playing the winner of St. John's UConn.
Big Ten, I think it's a crapshoot, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's tough. I like to look for teams who are going to need momentum going into the tournament, and I think that could be Oregon's the one that's sticking out to me.
Maryland.
Maryland's another one. That was the other one I was kind of mulling.
I will tell you, team. All right. Now that we're talking about this, I want to do one more category before we get out of here. Sleepers in these tournaments. So like a team you could kind of see coming out of nowhere. ACC. So I would say Louisville would be a team that come out of nowhere to win the conference championship.
I could see I'll go Pittsburgh. They were good at the start of the year, faded away. Maybe they find it again.
Big 12?
Big 12 is a lot harder. I could go. I'll go Kansas State. Jerome Tang. Maybe they need it to get in the tournament.
I agree with that. That was going to be mine. Big East.
The only team that could is Villanova. That's the only team.
I actually Xavier. Xavier's mine.
Okay. I don't think they can win 3 games in 3 days. I don't think they're deep enough.
I got a hot one for you on this next one because I don't even know if they're going to make the Big Ten tournament.
What do you got? Minnesota?
Rutgers.
Well, I mean, they should. They have
Let Bailey and Harper get hot.
I could see that maybe. I'll go Indiana for that one.
That'd be a fun one too. All right. Before we get out of here, Sawyer, got any socials you want to plug?
At SawyerHuff1, all social medias. Find me.
All right. Peace.
Peace.